Formula Drift has completely changed the way that drifting is going to be forever. Now, you've probably already heard, but Formula Drift is pairing up with Race Data Labs, the Wally system, whatever you want to call it, to basically change the way that qualifying is, and in a lot of ways the competition is forever. So I had a request to break down the entire rulebook. That's what we're going to do. If you're really interested in that, stick around. If you're not, still stick around, because it's important that you understand the rules as much, if not more than I do, so that way when you're watching, you can figure out what's going on. Also, it's 8:30 in the morning. I haven't had enough coffee. I'm a little sleepy, so you're going to get a kind of a raw version of me. 8:30 is not early enough to be this sleepy. All right, let's get into it. So I've got the entire judging rulebook pulled up over here. So if you see me glancing off to that side, that is what is going on. So as you can see, this is the 2026 version 1. We won't need any of this stuff. We're just going to get into whatever is in red, because those are changes from last year. As you can see, it already shows qualifying run as opposed to seeding. So let's get into section 3 here, pro qualifying format. Drivers compete in 2 non-consecutive runs in order of the current championship standings. So that is based on the however the championship standing is, that's how they're going to do it. I'm thinking it's going to be from lowest rank to highest rank, and they're non-consecutive. So we'll see one, everybody run through, and they're going to run through after that. Criteria and scoring: 40 points for line, telemetry generated; angle, 40 points, telemetry generated; style, 20, judge generated; total 100 points. Line angle will be entirely automated scoring using the UDSM, Universal Drifting Scoring Method. So that is the method that this is all being calculated with. It is not necessarily the technology. The technology is from Race Data Labs. The unit is called Wally. Okay, so line, filling the zones, 40 points. Zones are filled either the vehicle's body, outline, front and rear bumpers, or the vehicle's wheelbase, front and rear tires. Zones where the objects are bordering, yada, yada, yada. I don't need to read all this. You don't want me to read all this. But essentially what this is describing down here is that wheels are used for zones where there is no wall or anything bordering the track. That is like a vertical object, if you will, because there are things that border the track. And then bumpers are going to be used for things that are bordering the track. I think that's fairly straightforward. Underfilling zones will result in a lower score than zones that are filled completely. A virtual no-go is placed beyond the boundaries of the zone. The amount of no-go is filled with subtracting from the fill area from the zone, essentially a deduction for overfilling the zone. So essentially, if you go past the zone, you've overfilled the zone. From my understanding as well, for something like Long Beach, if you really crush the bumper in, then that is going into that no-go zone. So if you just touch, that is not the case. And basically, they have 3D modeled these cars based on their geometry and their outside border. The Wally units will sit in a spot. So for every 8.6, they'll always sit in the same spot. So they're able to tell where the front and rear of that is. Where I think this could get interesting, though, is like body kits and things. If people are kind of playing around with that. That was a question that came up in the meeting, is if a bumper comes off, what happens then? Obviously, the Wally system is not going to know that. But realistically, your crash structure is going to be pretty close to that anyways. I do think this will change the way that cars are built as well, where you're gonna have you don't want as much slop in between the body panel and your rear bumper, because you want it to be as geometrically perfect as possible at all times, so that way you kind of know where you're at. The zone score is calculated by adding the percentage filled less any penalties divided by zone amount, then scaling that to 40 points. What came up is that every zone will be calculated the same, but in a large zone, so think of something like Seattle, you may have multiple zones within that, right? So you might have 3 zones where normally we would see one big zone. And then that is scaled up to 40 points. So essentially, if you got 100%, you would get 40 points. If you were to get 50%, you would get 20 points. To achieve the full 40 points, you need to fill all the zones completely 100% and not enter any no-go zone. I think that's pretty straightforward. A great example here, kind of showing what's going on. So obviously you filled, zone 3 is a great example. You filled 100%, but you got 80% into no-go zone. So you're only going to get 20%. So I think that's a good way of breaking it down. I really should be drinking out of this water bottle, which is covered in all of our new stickers. Oh yeah, Talk to Me About Drifting is now a sticker. Keep Drifting Weird, Certified Drift Nerd, and then some toques. These are textured as well. I don't know if that comes up on camera, but should be drinking out of this. Maybe I'll make mugs. What do you think? Should we make mugs? So anyways, great example there on line. I think line is going to be the easiest one for us to understand. Angle, this is where things get maybe a little bit more tricky. The vehicle's angle will be captured from the judging start line, which is not the start of the run. It's usually, from what I've seen, right before entry. So just giving you a heads up on that one. And this is where human judges can kind of come into this as well. If there's some sort of thing that happens before that judging line. Vehicle's angle will be captured at the judge start line throughout the course until the finish line at continuous and consistent rate. It's basically the polling rate. It'll be picking up data, let's say like once every, millisecond. I'm not sure what the actual polling rate is. Score is based on each driver's angle average. Is there an underscore there that shouldn't be there? There is. Throughout the course, calculated by adding each data sample of vehicle angle value together, then dividing by the total number. So it's taking your entire average all the way through. Now, what this means is that you don't want low angle anywhere because we're averaging this out over the entire period. The average angle amount is then scaled based on the maximum value determined by formula drift, determined by the data generated by the complete field on that particular track on that particular weekend, and then applied using the same scale to each driver as they perform their qualifying run. Sorry if I'm touching my face a lot. It's allergy season and I'm dying. So essentially they take all of the data from practice and everything else leading up into qualifying, and they average out all that data, and then I believe they're going to scale that up just a bit so that there's room to improve. Because if you remember back with like D1 and with the DOS box system, you could score over 100 points. Because of that, they would take all the data from practice, but they never scale it up, so you get weird like over 100 point runs. Now, what else is interesting with this that's maybe like people kind of gloss over is inner zone. There's not really going to be inner clips anymore. There's going to be inner zones, which kind of screws up some other stuff, but we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, like this gives you a really good breakdown. Outer zone wall kind of shows you where like the no-go zone is with it, what these different like spots are. This is more based on line down here. So to achieve a full 40 points, your average drift angle must meet or exceed the predetermined max average value. So if you exceed that max average value, you're going to get 40 points. So there's a conversation about people like sandbagging in practice, but the way I look at it is if everybody deliberately does that, you don't get the experience at full angle, and everybody is compared against the same metric. So why would you sandbag it? It's not against your own. It's against the average of the field. So example, max average drift angle 50 degrees. The competitor achieves an angle of 25. 50% of that score, they're only going to get 20 points. There you go. Here, this is interesting. This is less to do, obviously, with the Wally system and more to do with the human element of it. And I would love your thoughts down in the comments about what you actually think drifting style is. But the judges will watch for areas of interest outside of line and angles, such as positive examples. This is a really good breakdown of what style is in a more analytical format. Precise and stable control of the front wheels, so not a lot of adjustments. Driving with big angle while maintaining consistent pace, because you could whip a ton of angle throughout this whole thing, but then check up. Now you're going to lose all your style points. Rapid rate of angle at initiation and transitions, so how snappy you are. Precise use of handbrake and left foot brake, so are you grabbing it and holding on for too long? Are you jarring the vehicle? Heavy and controlled throttle usage, so you got it planted the whole time. Sorry, obviously I just woke up. Yeah, what is this? I'll deal with that later. Vehicles wheelbase remaining on course, so you're not going off. Deduction examples, excessive and usable movement of front vehicles, so you're moving a lot, driving shallow, slow or stepping initiation transition, so like are you just like like that kind of thing. You get the rest of this, you understand. Incomplete qualifying runs. So this is another really interesting point here. If a driver does any of the following mistakes in a qualifying run, the driver will not receive a score for that run. Yeah, judges reverse the right to add examples, like if there's like weird stuff that comes up. That whole like judges reserve the right thing. Listen, every event I've been a part of with FD, something has gone on where we're like, we don't really have a rule for that. So that's a good one. Spinning out, opposite drift, mix of multiple mistakes that could calculate as an unchaseable lead. The Wally system is going to score you in a way that like, I don't even know if this matters, but they may just call it a 0 because technically the Wally system is still going to give you a score. So even if you get a 0, like you might get like 10, but they may want it where like, no, it's a 0. We don't think this should count. And I agree with that. Basically, yeah, just a bunch of stuff like, yeah, because the chase driver proximity changes everything. Yeah, basically if it's unchaseable. Telemetry system decides off course, qualifying tiebreaker. In the event of a tie in qualifying, the following chart will be implemented. Highest qualifying score, lowest qualifying score. So tiebreaker 1, highest qualifying, total, then line, then angle, then style, and then lowest after that. So that's good. It means that like if you have a bad run, it's going to take a little bit before that's actually like kind of a cause for concern when it comes to a tiebreaker. In the event that qualifying cannot be completed, such as a rainout or other circumstances, qualifying order will be established by previous rounds ranking or by previous season ranking. So previous season only if the first round. In the event of rain or weather that does not cause cancellation or qualifying, the judges have the right to make adjustments to the judging criteria and to subsequently disseminate, good word, this information to the spotters and drivers. So basically, like if it is heavy downpour and we're in qualifying and the Wally system's having troubles, they can basically update and fall back into a previous system. What does the process look like? Line and angle scoring is accomplished with telemetry. Line and angle scoring is accomplished with a telemetry device placed on the competitor's car roof prior to leaving the start line. Devices may only be attached or detached by Race Data Labs for Formula Drift officials. That's a good one. No touchy. No team may touch or alter or otherwise manipulate the physical object of the car or track associated with the scoring system, individual system errors. So this is a big question that came up. If the system has malfunctioned and a complete score is not generated for whatever reason, the judges may decide to score the run manually or give the option for a secondary run to that competitor. So if there is a problem with Wally, if Wally's having a bad day, they can do it manually because, believe it or not, the judges do know how to score qualifying manually, or they'll give another run. I don't see this happening often. I really don't see this happening often. I think the only time that this might happen is if there is like a Wally issue and a camera issue and we have no other thing. Everything else right now is pretty much the way you would see it. This seating thing is still in there for ProSpec. My monitor makes this look like it's green, but it's not. If the seating bracket results in an open slot for the main event in top 32, the next highest finishing driver from seating will be entered to complete and fill an entire top 32. Love that. Love that. Once again, that is for ProSpec. It has nothing really to do with what we talk about today. Okay, here's a big one that nobody's really talking about. We're like so tied up in qualifying, we haven't really gotten into this. Telemetry aid, I'm struggling with telemetry today. Telemetry aid for tandem judging. The telemetry system may be used during the tandem battle to allow for additional insights that may assist judges in their decision. They can use the Wally system to aid in their decision. The telemetry system is not determined the winner of the battle. It is simply providing additional information that may assist in a judging decision. It's not making the call, humans still making the call. The telemetry system utilizes analysis tools to further inspect a run. Basically, it's there, it's running the whole time, and judges can flip back to it if they need to. In tandem battles, the telemetry that is available for the judges are as follows. Lead vehicle. As per the qualifying metrics, zone filling, overfilling, average angle, additional data points, speed is in there. It's in there. Now, it's in there for important reason. We'll get into it in a second. Acceleration, deceleration measured by feet per second or meters per second. Freedom units. Chase vehicle. Mimic. The telemetry system can provide a scaled value in which the chase vehicle was able to emulate / mimic the position and angle of the lead vehicle. This value is based on the lead vehicle's tracking position and angle versus the chase's vehicle's tracking position and angle. Basically, how good are you at being a mime? That is in there. That is a quantitative metric that will be in there that could be used by judges. I feel like that right there will cut down on one more time. I don't know. You let me know what you think. Proximity. The telemetry system is able to determine the distance between the lead and chase vehicle throughout the battle. The judging start line, the judge finish line are the points in which the telemetry system will generate these values. That way, on the run-up, it's not going to calculate it. I don't know this for sure, but I believe it calculates that proximity even within the mimicry side of things. Now, that being said, when you're transitioning and all that stuff, I should be doing this up here. When you're transitioning and all that stuff, obviously, it's going to take the center point or wherever the pickup point is on the Wally system and then put those in. So there's going to be like questions about like, well, what if you're coming back around? Everybody's doing that. But if you can find a faster way to get back around, which based on physics, because you can't like pass through a car, everybody will kind of have the same limitations. Where I think it might be kind of interesting is vehicles that are more or less like front or rear offset. So like think of like a Supra, right? A Supra is going to have that front part. If you're having to transition around, if as a Supra, you have to transition around a vehicle, you might actually have a further path to go in proximity just on the transition point. So like there's going to be a small point where vehicles that have a larger nose will have a disadvantage in the chase. Whereas if they have that smaller rear end, it's going to be advantageous for other vehicles because they're going to have less room to go around. Now, listen, hopefully that makes sense. That is such a small amount, like a very, very small amount. Now, I know we're dealing in like microscopic amounts here, but it's a very, very small amount, but it is something to consider. So, and something you could consider is picking up one of our drifting activity books. So, do you have somebody in your life that, like is either really, really into drifting? Maybe that's you, or somebody that you kind of want to get into drifting. You want to be a little sneaky about it. Grab one of our drifting activity books because it allows them, or you, not judging here, to kind of work with the event. You can track everything that's going on. You can write down all the zones and clips and all that stuff. You can track the qualifying score, and there's fun games in there as well. There's crosswords and word searches and all that stuff. Basically, it allows you to have something to do while something else is going on. It's great for those ADHD people in your life. Once again, it might be you. It's all good. But it allows you to have something else on the go to make drifting even that much more fun. So we have one for the American series. We have one for the European series. Thinking about making a blank one. Let me know if you follow a bunch of other series. You'd love to follow along with it. Fill out the same information. Love to know your thoughts. But grab one of those. Grab a bundle. Really appreciate it. Jacko13.com. So an average proximity value is also available to gauge the overall proximity throughout a run and can be used to gauge better proximity. Okay, momentum map. Another fun one that's been updated. The momentum map provides a graphical representation of the momentum zones. I don't know why. Like, why is this capitalized on the course? Lead runs that do not conform to the graphical representation of the course will receive a deduction, of course. Incidents that occur. I don't know why I couldn't read that for a second. I was like, incidents. Why are we using C's as S's? Like, I know I speak English, but I really don't like it. Incident, I don't like the written version of it. I like speaking it. I don't like reading it. I don't like how we put letters together. Anyways, it's not about me. Incidents that occur in the momentum map will be analyzed using two distinct elements. One, telemetry generated measurements from the vehicles. Two, the visual change of the momentum as of witnessed by the judges. From those two data sets, judges will determine the fault of the incident. So what that means is our momentum map is more or less going to be built by the Wally system based on what judges are doing or drivers are doing. For the record, that's kind of how it's already been. Judges would watch practice and then we'd be like, hey, this is where we think the decel map is, but then we'd watch practice and that would more or less change. What I like is that we're doing this in Long Beach. It'll be really interesting to see how this changes because I feel like there's going to be this like decel zone. I don't know if my cursor's coming up, but like our decel zone might actually come out a little bit further here, or there's going to be a decel zone like here. Just my thoughts. But yeah, basically the Wally system is going to aid in that. Listen, for me, the Wally system is, I'm just going to call it Wally. Wally is, because like calling it a system feels disingenuous. Wally is really good at figuring out fault. It's fantastic at it because you can see acceleration and decel. If this guy's decelling in a spot that he's supposed to be decelling, and this guy's still excelling, excelling sounds better. I don't know why. If this guy is still accelerating, no, excelling. If this guy is still excelling and this guy's decelling where he's supposed to, and this guy hits him, well, you're doing something you're not supposed to do in a spot you're not supposed to be doing it. You're at fault, straight to jail. Just putting that out there. Is there any other red stuff that's in here? Nope, no more red stuff. Oh, there's red stuff there. Listen, if you want to check out this stuff, you can. It is available on FD's website. At the very bottom, you can scroll down, you can see rule books. They're all in there. They're all in there. Funny enough, if you ever wondered like how much I look at it, those are all the judging regulations that I've downloaded. There's a lot of them. Anyways, yeah, I want to know your thoughts on this. I'm excited to see how it works. Hopefully this very quick run through gives you a bit better an idea of how this is all working. Love to know. Yeah, I've seen how this works on the back end of things. Not quite to the whole like automated judging thing. I think that's a real big step we're taking pretty quick. Like we're getting real serious in this relationship right off the bat. But I also think that Race Data Labs has put together something that can do it. I really do. I'm pretty solid on that one. I have peppered Michael. The first time I met him, I like questioned everything that he was doing. And he came back and gave me some good answers. So love to know your thoughts on it. I'd love for you to head over to Jacko13.com to check out that. I'd love for you to check out Nomadic stuff. I think as the time of this video right now, they have a huge sale going on. It's like 25% off a bunch of their really, really good gear. I think my code adds to that as well. Go ahead and check it out. Let me know. If it doesn't, either way, you're saving 25% on some really, really cool stuff. If you want this shirt, it's available on my store as well, Jacko13.com. These stickers that are on this water bottle, the drifting activity book, and I've got something else cool. I don't know if it's come out yet, but like I'm bringing back POGs. Remember those? I have to spell it with two G's, P-O-G-G-S, just, because I don't like lawyers. But they're available. I don't know if they're available on the store right now. If you're in our Discord, you already know about it. check out my Discord. It's different than the Outer Zone Discord. Yeah, it's a lot more unhinged. I don't know, actually. The Outer Zone Discord's got the Frederick Osbo guy. Anyways, I'm rambling at this point. If you still stuck around, drop mango in the comments. That way I know you made it this far. If you haven't made it this far, you're missing out. You need to watch all of my videos because I tend to put weird shit at the end too. Thanks, guys. Let me know if you want more of these. This was fun. All the caffeine that I've been drinking is hit in the latter half of this video. I'm still feeling tired. I have so much work to do. My back hurts, and I hope all of you are having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for all the support. It legitimately means a lot. The fact that I have to like build a merch section in my office is insane to me, but y'all are crazy and putting together amazing orders. I haven't talked about the posters. Anyways, I'm plugging too much shit. If this is coming out, I'm doing a live stream on Saturday. I'm going to get this out before Saturday. I'm doing a live stream on Saturday at 12 Eastern, noon Eastern, noonish. You should tune in for that. You should tune in for the live streams because they're a shitload of fun. And if you want to buy merch, honestly, that's the best time because I just get crazy and throw crazy discounts and free giveaways and stuff out there. But anyways, I'm done. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Recording that and stop recording you. Thank you.